If you think South Africa mediating is surprising, listen to this. Joe Biden wants China's help to isolate Russia. It's mission impossible, but Biden is trying anyway. Earlier today, he spoke to Xi Jinping. The call lasted for nearly 2 hours. It was their first phone call after the war broke out. Expectations were low. Both sides wanted to size each other up. Biden would have been looking for signs of support, any indication that China will not help Russia. Xi Jinping would have been looking for the opposite. Where does Joe Biden draw the red line? At what point could China get caught in the sanctions crossfire? There are two big takeaways from these talks. Number one, Biden still doesn't get China's real intentions. He wants to compete with Xi Jinping, but he lacks the killer instincts. Listen to these remarks by Biden's press secretary.
There's been, of course, rhetorical support or the absence of clear rhetoric and denunciation, or the absence of denunciation by China of what Russia is doing. This flies in the face, of course, of everything China stands for, including the basic principles of the UN Charter, including the basic principles of respect for sovereignty of nations.
How naive is that? In case you missed it, I'll repeat. Russia's invasion flies in the face of everything China stands for. Does it though? Attacking a sovereign country is exactly China's brand. They've tried it with India. They've tried it in the South China Sea. So the White House has got it completely wrong, I have to say, unless this is part of a larger strategy. Sweet talk Xi Jinping, go soft on China and hope that favor will be reciprocated. That China will help America isolate Russia. Like I said, it's mission impossible. This move could backfire for Joe Biden. I know there's a war in Europe, but the Indo-Pacific remains the #1 battleground. The future will be decided not in Ukraine, it will be decided in the waters of the Indo-Pacific. And I know it sounds heartless, but that is the reality. So Biden needs to get his priorities in order. Putin may win the war in Ukraine, but his economy is finished. There is no way Russia can challenge or topple the global order. China, on the other hand, can do both. So Biden needs to take a call. Does he tackle the declining rogue state that is Russia? Or does he tackle the growing rival that is China? America's Pacific allies will be closely watching. The likes of Australia, Japan and South Korea, they've joined Western sanctions against Russia, not because the war affects them, but because they need America's help against China. That could change if Joe Biden goes soft on Beijing. Which brings us to takeaway number 2. China's position may not be as strong as we think. Politically, they're all in. They're accusing America of making bioweapons. They're condemning Western sanctions. But there is very little material support. No military aid, no economic assistance, only moral support. What explains this cautious approach? The short answer is money. And these numbers should give you a better idea. China's trade with Russia is $147 billion. China's trade with the West is $1.6 trillion. That's 10 times more. If Xi Jinping helps Putin, Chinese companies could face sanctions. And this fear is already taking its toll. Earlier this week, China's stock markets registered their worst drop since 2008. Nearly $1.1 trillion in market value was wiped out. One of the reasons was this, the fear of sanctions. Immediately, Foreign Minister Wang Yi issued a clarification. He said China is not party to the war. China does not want to be affected by sanctions. But this does not mean that Xi Jinping will isolate Putin or that he will cool off on political support. This means Xi Jinping is playing the long game. He is building alternatives in the swift banking system. He is de-dollarizing his economy. He's building ties with traditional US partners like Saudi Arabia. What he needs is time to build up China's strength to challenge the US. And right now, Biden is playing right into Xi Jinping's hands. He's slowing down his Pacific pivot. He's putting all his focus into Europe. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.